That's so true, Skimmy. A job is a job. You've hit the nail on the head with that one. Either way, we're back here on the LCO. It's time once again for menu log meal time, and we brought our own snack in today. His name's Max.
Smooth.
That was clean.
That's good riz.
Look, Menu Pog's in the chat if you want to win yourself $40 to spend on Menu Pog. Menu Pog. I just call it Menu Pog at this point. It just feels right. It just feels natural. But look, I've just woken up. It's not quite breakfast. I'm not looking for a full meal. What are we eating? What's your snack of choice? What are we ordering on Menu Log?
Not quite breakfast. So pre-breakfast snack?
You could call it a light brekkie.
That's a hard one. That is a hard one to think about.
Banana.
Banana and a coffee.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you're very limited, I feel like, because you want to have breakfast after.
Yep. I think croissant, coffee.
Croissant.
Croissant.
He's European. So.
Nice.
Yeah. If Rogue was here, he'd be backing me up right now.
Yeah.
He's been to France.
Yep. He has.
He's still there,
Did you
isn't he?
know?
He's a cultured.
Isn't he
cultured
still in
male,
France?
Talks about it all the time.
Is he?
I think he's gone back to France.
I think he is in Europe.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. You mean?
He ran into Tim
Carbon.
Forehead Wendell.
Yeah.
That's what Kitty said.
He did.
All right? I'm safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kitty started it, so we're all allowed to say it now,
Yeah,
right?
we could all say
What
it.
about you,
It's
Max? What you go to?
I'd probably go with Skimmy there. I think coffee and a pastry of some
Yeah,
sort. Maybe like a
croissant.
Danish.
Oh,
Nice little apple
A
Danish.
sausage roll?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sausage
of
roll.
course. That's how the Bogans say it, man. To keep it fancy.
I say a sausage.
Chic, you know?
Saucy
Sexy.
sizzle.
Either way, that's it for Menu Log Mealtime. Hopefully you won the $40. And we got one more game today. So let's see who we're going to be talking about first. It is, of course, Direwolves, the undefeated kings of the kennel. Zoranus, Poltron, Chaz, Pradith, and Decoy. Max, I want your 2 cents on this team.
I'll give you a full 50 cents on this team, actually. So
Wow.
Chaz, Pradith, Decoy, we all knew that this trio was going to be really solid, right? We all knew that they were going to be able to put in work from their time together on PGG. The question marks we had were Zoranus and Poltron, and I think that they have answered those questions very well if you are a Direwolves fan. Zoranus, in my opinion, has been the best performing top laner so far this split. Maybe Biopanther up there as well, but certainly looking really good on these carry picks like this Camille. And Poltron has done exactly what he's needed to, right? He's played these facilitators, he's gotten Chaz ahead, and Chaz, you know, we talk about MVP candidates, he is certainly right up there as well.
Yeah, and I'm glad you touch on the Zoranus discussion, right? Because it's just really great to see that pairing stick together, himself and Poltron, and show that, look, we deserve to be at this level, right? You come out being a coach, you're projecting these ideas to your players, you say, look, I'm actually going to get it done myself, and now you found yourself in a roster with what is already proven success and talent. So it's great to see them continue this undefeated run.
Yeah, and look, they've got a lot to show us today, and that's just cleaning it up, of course. They're up against Kanga. It's not necessarily, you know, one of the higher-up teams on the leaderboard. They're still trying to find their identity, and Direwolves, look, we've heard every time that we've spoken that they are happy with the games getting that little bit cleaner, but the chaotic comms, just trying to figure out who to follow, who is making the calls that everyone has to play around, and just really cleaning up their gameplay at the moment is their goal. And if we can see that moving into the group stage, moving towards the playoffs, you know that Direwolves are just going to continue to be a top 3 contender. But Kanga, where are they sitting, Max? That's what I want to know from you.
Yeah, Kanga is a team that's sort of been underperforming for me. I look at this roster and sure, they're really young. You know, everyone besides Fido is in their first or second year of playing, really. But I think this team hasn't quite reached where they can, right? I think they're one of the teams that definitely have a really large skill ceiling to go. I think one minor tangent I want to go on is their drafting. I think their drafting has been holding them back somewhat. As we're going to take a look at this game here, right? Look at this team comp. They have absolutely 0 CC in any lanes. When you are a young team, make the game as easy as possible for yourself, right? Draft lanes that are really easy to play around, and I know that they have a lot of mechanical players, like Blue on the Fiora. You know, he reached rank 1 in solo queue. He's proven that he can play it. But I think they just need to make the games a little bit easier and relax, right? There's not that much pressure on you. You just need to relax, and I know that a lot of players are going to be battling with nerves. Getting over that initial hump is going to be the biggest thing for this team to succeed.
Yeah, completely agree with you on the concept of keep it simple, make it easy, right? Play compositions that just make sense, that make the job a lot easier for yourself, because like the reality is a Fiora, Wukong, Kassadin comp is like a high skill finesse, like scaling composition that needs to play around very specific windows of strength to get there at all. And then unfortunately as well, the opposite is kind of happening in the bottom lane where they have easier to play lanes, but they're trying too hard to make plays. They're not just letting it coast, going even, letting those lanes scale. So it's all come tumbling down multiple times in a row very quick.
Well, they could take the Mammoth approach and play even on harder mode, just do a couple of naughty things and then, of course, just lose some bans, not even get to choose or dictate what the enemies can or can't play. But look, at the same time, I like the individuals on Kanga. We're still just waiting to see what they can do because we know Fido, when he initially jumped onto Kanga at the end of last year or, in that last split last year, it made magic happen. But now he's lost all those individuals. He's got a new bunch of fresh faces and they're yet to start shining.
How many times have we called him like Faker Fido? Because he was just popping off unbelievably well, doing moments like Cassiopeia shenanigans. Azir, obviously, you're seeing him look to try and tap into some of that magic again. I just wonder if there's a bit of a burden on him being one of the more veteran players in the roster to say, I will default to a hyperscaling champion. Look, I'm going to try and be that stability for us to play towards, right? I've been in these situations, so if you have an easy execute bot lane, you should just be able to coast. Like, don't try hard too much, right? Just play it out, see what happens by the time level 6 comes around, and then, we start to win a few big team fights, and that's when the magic and the mechanics start to play themselves out. Well,
someone that does love a little bit of magic is Magic Mark, who we have for an interview. Praetus, mate, how are you feeling going into today's game? I want to quickly get your thoughts on the young man Hooper in the bot lane, because you're going to be facing him today. I know you're probably not worried, but you've got a lot of experience. Do you think it's just going to be easy peasy, or do you think Hooper just has a lot to learn?
I think Kanga bot lane, Kanga bot lane is like probably below average, so not really worried about that bot lane. And I just played with Hooper in a solo queue game, and he lost to a minion. He died to a minion, so I'm not too worried about it.
Thanks for that insight, Mark. That's gold. Looks like this game should be easy then, huh?
Yeah, there you go. Looking, I guess, towards that top of the leaderboard, you guys are obviously the only undefeated team. Looking at Chiefs and PGG, are you scared? Obviously, you've beat Chiefs before, but in a best of 5, how are you feeling compared to those teams at this stage in the split?
I think we are probably worse than them in that, in best of 3s, best of 5s right now. I think we're going to double down in the break period that we have, the ESL break period. I think right now, we're winning all our stage games and we look really good, which is great. But I think we're getting good drafts and we're playing really well on stage. So I think by the time the best of 3s come, we'll be probably the best team. But I think right now, we had quite a slow start. We started a lot later than all the other teams.
How are you finding it playing around Zoranus and Poltron? Because, of course, they were the core 2 that already existed in Direwolves before, the old PGG brothers, you 3, joined them. Do you enjoy the chemistry with the newer players here on Direwolves?
We've for sure had issues because they've been together for a year and we were together for a year, me, Chaz, and Decoy. So it took a while to play the way we both wanted to play, I'd say. But I think now we're getting to an understanding of how we want to play the game, and we just have to refine that throughout the weeks.
Well, there you go. Mark, congratulations on a spectacular interview. Hopefully we can see Hooper die to another minion. I guess we'll see when the game goes live, but good luck in your game.
Thank you.
His interviews.
They're goated.
Sometimes they're amazing, and then other times they're still amazing. If he's talking smack, if he's just laying down the law, no matter what it is, he just makes them.
But that's the thing that makes it so good for me personally, is it's always the deadpan answers. It's never any personality laughter or anything. It's just he died to a minion.
He didn't even know who he was playing against.
Oh,
he's like,
Kanga.
Yeah, Kanga.
And you're just cracking up, but he's just what? I said what I said.
It's all
That's
business.
good. Now, let's see what side, who's playing, who won the coin flip. It was Direwolves, and they're choosing blue side. So they want to get that first pick in, something crucial, something crispy, or maybe they just prefer playing, directionally up this way, camera up this way. Speaking of, I'm pointing up there anyway. Def fan vote time. Get those Twitch points in. Let us know how you think this game's going to go. Is it going to be Kanga showing what they're made of, showing what we all kind of expected, or Our Direwolf's just going to put another bloody school on.
Clinic, school.
Clinic.
Is it going to school them?
Clinic.
Another shellacking.
School them.
An educational program. I don't know. My brain's all over the place today. Losing in League of Legends has turned me into a schmozzle. Either
Do
way.
you see Shaco when you close your eyes?
Don't talk to me about Shaco.
Can't believe you
going
just
there.
triggered him
We're
like
not
that.
going there. Not on broadcast.
Soccer.
Prediction time. It's time for predictions. Let's see where we're going to be going with this one. I'm expecting Wolves across the board. Skimmy still in the lead, 12-2. Not doing too badly today. What kind of chance are we giving Kanga here? Because we've tried to give them a lot of respect in their previous games, thinking like, oh, this is going to be the one where they pop off. But how long are we going to say that? Because it's still getting towards the end of the best of ones in this first round robin, and we're still yet to see anything. And Hooper keeps dying at 1 minute, Rusty.
Yes, he does keep dying at 1 minute. I mean, predictions aside, my prediction in the game is that Hooper will not die at 1 minute because
beautiful.
I think he's now hit that critical mass point internally where he's like, I just can't do that again. My worry is he'll go the opposite way. He'll be down like 30 CS, trying so hard not to die. So I would like to see him find equilibrium, but there's still going to be some finding his feet in this. Otherwise, it could be still a rough game.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see how it goes. We'll see if the minions get him before Mark does. But if he doesn't die to either of them, then look, there's plenty of players across the roof. Poltron has been impressing us, and let's see what he's going to be locking in because Champ Select is ready for the final game of the week. Who's it going to be? I don't know. Guys, tell me.
Let's see. Let's find out. Let's see if the Direwolves will remain undefeated or if Kanga can show us that little bit of magic which has got us so excited for them coming into Split 1 of 2023.
Fido tax.
It has
Start off every draft
It's
with a
gonna
bit of
happen.
Fido tax.
It really will continue to happen until the rest of the team can show us something different. And I wonder, right, because Direwolves, every time they've had first pick, be it blue side, it's always been Nami or Lucian.
I feel like this shows so much just like how much people value Fido's ability to play the game.
Yeah.
But like levels over the rest of the team.
Yeah.
If blue is like a rank 1 Fiora enthusiast playing top lane, they don't care, right? Like Hooper is such a good like Aphelios player, right? But that's not meta. They don't care.
Yep.
And that kind of goes down the list, and then they just keep looking at Fido and that cast though, that other cast though, and they have to get rid of it. They really want to attack his champion pool. Keep in mind here as well, Skimmy, that the Syndra Rise being banned away on Kanga side means mid lane is looking like a first 3 Azir, or he's out of options. You've got
Yes.
first 3 Azir.
Yes. Which I suppose means that Chaz may not be under much pressure to pick his champion early. But we'll have to wait and see. Ultimately, he may just blind pick and say, you're going to choose it. But nothing really changes.
Yeah.
It felt predictable, right? You've left the Lucian up. They've always gone for it when they've had first pick. And that's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, we'll see where Kanga chooses to go in response to Splint. Is it going to be something like a Caitlyn Lux answer, or Ezreal Karma answer? Always pathways that they can choose to take. We brought up the Azir. I do feel like Chaz will be very comfortable playing more of just like an Akali into it. He can play the Azir himself, but I feel like he'd be much more comfortable with those assassins lately. Chaz has been having a very good time with that one.
Yes, he has. What is the response, though? Because it has been Enchanters galore here for Shinky. And be it Lulu or Karma.
I'd like a Jax or a Cassante here, I think. I don't think you need to go for the Yuumi. I would prefer that teams take more of the Chiefs approach to draft, where they have the Zeri and then they pick another role.
Nail on the head, though. You caught it nice and early. Doesn't want to really risk that one being denied. So locks it in. But it does mean, as you say, you're leaving things like Cassante up for grabs, which, as we saw, Zoranis is very proficient at.
If Chaz picks Corki, you're solo casting.
Oh, okay.
I will not be dealing with an Azir Corki in
We
the
can do
LCO.
LCK.
I would not be. Expecting the Sedge Nami here, pretty easy. First 3 locking for the Direwolves. Very simple to predict draft for them so far. You can probably go for the Yuumi here if you wanted to now, just to make sure that they don't ban Yuumi Lulu and make the Zeri lose most of its value, unless you're planning around something like a Nautilus with an aggressive jungle pick, right? And then you're planning around playing towards bottom lane. That end, you've got the options of like good counters for blue. So I would like to just go for the bot lane here, look for that top lane counter pick, and then try and find a favorable jungle matchup, perhaps through bans, or you like plan to pick a top lane up, ban the other 2, right? Nah, Cassante, Jax, Holy Trinity at the moment, all still available.
Absolutely, and by the fact that they've not locked in a top laner here, you're absolutely screaming ban Cassante now, because it will be up to Direwolves to lock in their champion next. So where will they decide to go? And if it isn't to be a top lane direction, it's all about making sure that a crippled pool there for Fido is going to become even easier. So first of all, deny away the Akali, which Chaz has played back-to-back now to some high degree of success. Response is then, Blue, no, you will get a little bit of respect. Your Fiora is pretty good.
Yeah, taking the Fiora away. Wondering if it's going to be a Jax looked at by the Direwolf side. Zoronis has such a wealth of champions that he can play anyway. It could even be a Camille, which is why they're trying to get rid of that Fiora. In saying that, I think that is still a playable matchup for Camille. So, again, just taking away Blue's comfort.
Sure.
Making sure they're as uncomfortable as possible. That it's proven as a method of success against them in draft thus far. As there goes K-Sante. The guy who sang Chocolate Rain, I believe.
What I'm just thinking, Kate, how did you say it? Cassiopeia? No, how did you say it?
Kitty said it. Cassiopeia.
Oh, I can't even mutter it in the same way. Completely broke my mind, that's for sure. Jace banned away as well. The only 2 champions, actually. Fun fact, the Blues played so far. So he's going to reveal something a little bit different here tonight.
I wonder if Zoronis is looking at like a Renekton. Just with those bans starts to indicate it could be going that pathway. With K'Sante gone as well, Jax, I would say, is most likely to be picked. But nah, still up. Plenty of top lane choices, to be perfectly honest with you, so we can muse over that all we would like to. Junglers are the place that we have to look, and to no one's surprise, of course. I like the Vi. In saying that, Vi very good at locking down the Lucian.
Yeah.
And can handle Sejuani pretty well when it comes to those trades. From memory, Vi's Q kind of overrides Sejuani Q, and that they kind of hit each other, but then Vi gets a passive on her anyway, so it's kind of winning. There's your top laner.
Been pretty spot on, actually, calling this draft, haven't you? You've got the Jax coming out now as a response, blind into top lane to see what Blue matches into it, and Chaz now hovering Natalia. Not wanting to reveal too much. He played a game of Rise, that was banned away. Same for the Akali, so just run it back on Natalia again. Yeah,
last champ standing that doesn't reveal anything different. Talia, of course, with the changes to tier, is finding herself in a better position as well. Overall, that extra shield's nice in denying some of those assassins when you hit mid-game, but he knows his matchup. Azir, we'll get into that a little bit when we get into game, but it can be a very good pushing mage. And Talia likes to match that and start to roam around the rift a little bit more effectively. As Kanga are going to go towards the gangplank, which I do think has some merit, but another scaling champion.
Yes.
So we're looking at a Zerayumi bot lane that, unless you're the Chiefs, we haven't really seen win lane at level 2.
Triple scaling, isn't it, really?
Yeah, Azir is a scaling pick. The advantage of Azir is that he pushes, so it can compensate being a scaling pick early game pretty well. If it keeps the enemy mid laner down, then like you've kind of done your job and lets the jungler be free. But if your top lane is going to be a gangplank, Mayfarn, I feel like, has a pretty tough gig here in where he chooses to go. And similar to what Max said before, Skimmy, while we're on the concept of full drafts, difficult execution, not a lot of crowd control, not a lot of hard engage. It is just Mayfarn and the boys right now.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of soft CC to try and slow them down, but then...
Chad's trying to learn how to say phase up.
Yeah, he's trying to do something, I can tell you that much. Whether it's a love heart or whether it may be just a little bit of hand origami, but it's,
hand origami!
It's something. Let's just zoom in and see if he does it for us again. Pressure's on. You can't hear us.
No, I think he's done, mate. I think he's done.
He's had his moment, hasn't he?
You won't catch Praetus doing that.
No, you wouldn't.
That's embarrassing.
Not in a million years, mate.
No, who's shot?
Looks like he's in a new house as well.
Or at least changed camera angle.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell. Where he currently is, it looks like he's wedged against all of the walls in the house simultaneously.
Yeah, the sound acoustics were pretty bouncy, weren't they? But yeah, I think really to summarize, what I'm seeing from Direwolves is we don't need to change anything, don't need to reveal anything. We want to almost feel pre-solved, but what is your response into us?
Yeah, I mean, the only way that I think that comp is better is with the potential Akali in mid lane, because then you've got another melee champion for Sejuani passive.
Absolutely.
But generally speaking, Direwolves very happy with their draft. Lucian Nami, supremely powerful, perfect for Praetor as well, has been playing it really nicely. And no signs of slowing down with the strength of this 5v5.
Well, let's see if they can make it 5 from 5 in terms of the perfect win streak, continuing their way going into that third week to look forward to. As for Kanga, a very slow start for them. Still searching for their first official victory. And still sticking with the same playstyle standard of play to scale. And let's hope we can get there. They got close yesterday. Level 16 did actually manage to happen for the Castellan and Fiora, but by that point it was a little bit too much of a uphill battle to try and climb over. Too much CC to try and shut down those hyperscaling champions.
And it is one of those things yesterday. I'm pretty sure Fido lost the game hitting 16. He wanted so hard to get experience in mid lane that they forced an engage on them, and it was pretty straightforward stuff by Mammoth when they took Kanga apart. I think it's safe to say that we're a minute 20 into the game. Bot lane hasn't died. We're doing well so far. We'll see how this one does play out. Zerayumi is not exactly a winning lane. It can be stronger because they have the possibility of an extra combat summoner.
Uh-oh.
But Zoranus has to kick this one off.
This is really clever there by Zoranus right now. Mayfan is clear. It's just been ruined. Chair's also going to get the inline track onto Fido to try and find a bit of a harass, bit of a trade.
Mayfan want to start those chickens actually now potentially. He's going to go the long way around because he was on a ward. Now think about the cost here, Skimmy. Blue hard pushes that wave in. Jax has walked the long way and is going to miss one of those minions, is going to miss the last hit on the first 3. And I think got one of those, 2 of those. So that's a rough start for Zoranus in terms of his top lane matchup. He's going to be behind in experience, but it hurts Mayfan a lot. Forces Smite on the first camp, right?
Yeah.
Makes things tough.
Even more so when you see his work was cut out for him. You got all these lanes wanting to demand resources, and well, where does he go? Well, that slows you down. It's a really good way to make sure that Direwolves will get that early game advantage.
Yeah, and it also shows that he's pathing away from top lane. And the thing with this Gangplank is very strong level 1 champ. I think that's obvious, right? You sit there with your first strike proc. It's not going to be grass, but you can sit there and queue off cooldown and try and actually hurt them. I think the fact that you've gone for first strike is more of an indicator of kegs. Ultron on the hunt.
If he was to get taken
has
down here,
found the target. 3-2. Sejuani wins this all day.
this would absolutely ruin Mayfan's life. It's a flash-for-flash trade. It's a knock-up. It's a stun. It's a passive kill. And it's a first blood for the Wolfpack.
Direwolves just decide Mayfan not allowed to play. And now that draft conversation about those losing lanes is very, very important. Does not mean that Hooper and Shinky are at risk of being dove, but it means they're never getting support. All right, this Vi is out of the game. Top lane matchup, Zoranus going to push this one in. If he has a ward to spare, we'll be able to place it at the Krug camp, catch Mayfan as he roams through his topside jungle. And a level 2 Vi. Just slinking around the rift, trying to sneak away those camps wherever he can. Poltron's gone for boots, Skimmy. You better believe he's on the hunt.
He is on the hunt. He wants more. Not
You've
satisfied with 1 kill.
Might catch him at Krug, see how quickly he takes this one down if he moves up there. Given that Blue's going to run himself out of mana perpetually. Hello. Are you going for that bot scuttle, are you? Ooh, maybe saved by Chaz having to recall.
Certainly, yeah. He's copped a fair beating here in the mid lane. Fighter's angry. Getting the shove, getting the harass, getting it all. Needs to be a point of strength on the map. Certainly when you're looking at Blue holding his own here in the top side, and obviously Hooper and Shinky wanted to scale into this one. Definitely do not want to entertain any kind of shenanigans, given that Praetor will opt for an Ignite style Lucian.
Shinky doesn't want to get bubbled here, needs to be careful, but they also know that Mayfan was on the bottom side of the map. They are overstaying their welcome in the sense that they know Vi is here and they don't care. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, waves going as expected. This one's huge for Blue, is in danger.
It is Elite Counter-Strike stun. The passive is active now. Just need to land a few auto attacks, and he's going to go for it. But he's managed to get away. He's already burnt that flash, and TP was used to get back to lane.
Exactly. That's why that's bad. He has no potions. He's teleported back with control ward Sheen. If he's popped a potion just then, that's the last one that he had. Now that he's flashless, Sejuani's on the top side of the map. Look at Blue. He disappears into fog, places down both of his wards, needs to ensure that he is safe, because if he doesn't crash this wave in, it's just a disaster.
Yeah, and look at that. Zoranus even knows. Gonna deny it. Overhand the stun there for a second and make it very annoying for Blue to try and push this one in, but he is successful. It's going to feel pretty rough if he has to go back to base now.
Mayfan actually going to deny a camp. Has done the best that he possibly can to equalize. The main point here that stands out to me is that every wave has played out the exact way that we expected them to, right? So the top wave, Jax gets the push. Chaz actually gets ulted in.
He's been hit by the Emperor's Divide. He's been knocked back. And he wants to try and drop combat to potentially use his ult to safety. Still with the flash. Ultimately just worms his way out of that one. Knew that his team, both Decoy and Poltron, were ready to back him up. And they're going to do just the same as we saw topside, right? Shove in that wave.
What a bit of a 1v2 here as well, trying to prey upon Praetor, who no longer has the Nami there to support him. Does seem like they'll be perfectly fine, though. Praetor also will be perfectly fine. Big plus. 6 minutes in, farming evenly, doing the best that they can. Still not feeling the most safe right now in this bot lane 2v2. But they're farming up. You know, we're getting to an even game state. We might get to see the real Kanga play some League of Legends here, Skimmy, which is what everyone wants to see.
We absolutely do. We've sung their praises. We know these are talented rookies, but they just haven't been able to fire on all cylinders.
Prior to this game, damage share, to be specific, damage share to enemy champions, Shinky and Hooper were equal at 15%.
It's rough.
Which means that Shinky is doing more damage and that Hooper is doing so much less damage than the average that they're equal.
Yeah,
That's how rough that's been going.
Pretty agonizing stat to specify.
Which is 8th in the league. But not that I needed to say that. Or 7th, I guess. Technically, the AD of Peace has done 0%.
True. Yeah, given the track record Hooper had last year as a sub for Order, you know what he's capable of. And it's just about tapping into that once again. So a good start for them. A vote of confidence. You love to see it. First Dragon goes the way here for Direwolves. Similarly expected when you've got waves or lanes to play towards which are pushing, which is exactly what's happening here in the bot side.
Yeah, playing around that bot lane priority. Mid also starting to match the push a little bit better now, right? So the Talia and Azir matchup, as this starts with push, by being able to just place the soldiers that can't be traded back from. Top all in.
For 2 seconds. We're going for a fight. Cannon Barrage on us, just tries to skirt around the edge of it. And managed to leap to safety. Blue maybe regretting the fact that he didn't stand inside it. Had to try and juke at that Counter-Strike, but it just was not enough. In we go. Ultra not content with stealing away the Dragon. Takes away their blue buff too.
I mean, it's just using pressure. Chaz sacrifices a little bit of a wave in mid. He's actually going to catch all of it anyway. Fido not able to assist. This is a trend that we've noted for Fido as well, is that he hasn't really moved around the map to help his team much either. No matter how much priority he gets or push he gets in mid lane, he hasn't been able to transition that somewhere else. Though this game, suffice to say, it is Mayfan being attacked by the Direwolves strategically that has made that really difficult to do.
Yeah. Level 6 will be of paramount importance, not too far away for him. Praetor just ticked over to that level 6 now. Yet red buff, and level 6 will be there. And it'll be around finding a lane to target, right? Emperor's Divide is up. Cannon Barrage, as we saw, has already been burnt, but flashes are there if they wanted to try and outplay. Try and get the ball rolling. Try and get Kanga on the board.
So far, so good for Zoranus again. Really has come into his own through the first 2 weeks of this year of LCO compared to the Zoranus we've seen in previous seasons. His team fighting has been immaculate. But he's also controlling those lanes. Mayfan going to walk in here, going to find himself Chaz, which confirms the Herald's being done. Do the Direwolves commit to this one? If yes, did Kanga want to fight?
Well, they turn around and say, you are going to fight. Stunned, flipped back, and slam dunked down. No smite still today, no 50-50 flip. That is an easy picking there for Poltron.
Yeah, Kanga just not really. I mean, ultimately, I think they showed intent to contest, but then in the process of trying to set up for that, they just opened the door, right? The window of opportunities there. Nice little kite back and forth here by Hooper and Shinky, pushing back the bot lane 2v2 of Direwolves. But that top side is really rough. And that kill going into the hands of Chaz, or the fact that he has a kill, has equalized the CS difference in mid lane, right? Any kind of early push is gone.
Yeah.
Commanding position, I would say, over the map overall.
Yeah, that's here with double buff now, going to be hyper accelerated. Happy days there for Chaz on the Talia, who is running the Unsealed Spellbook, currently cycling through, has the TP available to him. That could certainly be a menace when that gets cycled on through. Mayfan still has the assault on battery. Hasn't found the moment to strike just yet, though.
I think they'd like item spikes at this point. So just having the ultimates there aren't going to mean as much at this stage. You would rather have the Ludens completed from Fido. Hooper is going to be a little while away from those items himself, but jungle item completed Divine Sunderer as well would be quite nice.
We're just waiting for cooldowns.
Yeah, we are having an experience in top lane. The Gangplank effect. Zoran is kind of standing as a bodyguard. And teleport's going to be used back to lane. The second teleport in this game as well is Fido's. We'll see if he uses this to get back to his own lane also on the Luden's spike timing, or if they want to do some kind of team play. Zoranus.
Yeah, really desperate to get that turret plate, wasn't
God, my guy.
He's all in for the gold. Oh, they found a target. Jumps onto Poltron right there. Cops a bit of damage. Bubble goes out. Doesn't land, but Fido was there to back up Mayfun. Was always going to be a numbers deficit there in a 2v3, but they are starting to try and bully their way back into the river. It has belonged to Direwolves all game so far. 40 seconds. Second Drake is spawning.
Chaz pretty much gets instant wave clear and instant push now, right? Going for that tier build, being level 9 on the Talia. He's able to just QEW a whole wave and it is gone.
Yeah.
Even the Azir struggling to keep up with that one a little bit. Chaz also going to teleport back towards mid lane, feeling a very strong himself right now as the objective's about to spawn. You would like to see Fighter get Luden's teleport towards mid, try and contest this one if they were going to fight this, but he may even need to teleport bottom right now, depending on how they play this out.
Yeah, look at that. The Weaver's Wall blocks it off. TP comes out. Nami Wave knocks them up. Hoop it down. Shinky dead. And a dive successful. But in comes Fido. He scoops them back. And they'll find a second. One goes the way of Zeta. Second to Blue from top lane. A great defense.
Yeah, and I feel like that's too much of a force from Direwolves. Very well defended by Kanga. Of course, both bottom laners will die. But you have a Gangplank ultimate and an Azir with teleport that are going to be able to assist that one, and you're diving under the turret on super full HP targets with all summoners there. Zoranus, I think he is still just playing for plates and being very cute about this one, but controlling top lane outright doesn't mean that he's going to stop Blue from being involved in the skirmishes, Skimmy. He just presses R.
Definitely is the hallmark of a good GP player, keeping tabs as to where anything is happening on the map at any given moment. And that has resulted in them not being punished overall, that they can get themselves into the river, get that second Drake. Although Poltron will say,
You cheeky devil.
I'll get Drake Jr., if you will, and just pick up the scuttler. I'll get something.
Drake, but he felled off. Herald summon bottom. It's a 3v2, no reinforcements here from either team. No Vi, as Vi is in base, but because it is a Hextech map, he gets there pretty quickly.
Yeah, one of my favorite refs to play on for sure. Just the ability to teleport all over the map. We've seen some pretty clever plays last year. No doubt we can see some clever shenanigans again this time. All their attention towards the spot lane as that Herald was summoned, and only one plate remains now.
And honestly, we do a spot check 14 minutes into this one. We're pretty happy with the Kanga that we've been seeing. If Direwolves are the first place team in the league, a 2,000 gold deficit with how the game started, they've managed to equalize pretty nicely, and they capitalized on the overforce from Direwolves in bot lane. Generate a lot of money into some much needed hands. Blue here though. Big trouble.
Blue's in trouble, great flash away, needs to eat some oranges to be okay, but ultimately just cops a little bit too much damage to the face, and try as he might. Really wishes he had a cannon barrage there to self-cast. All fall victim to the 1v3. Kanga getting to do what they can to try and crash a wave in mid for free.
And frankly, the #1 issue that they might need to address, Kanga, is that we haven't seen Mayfun. He hasn't read the map. He doesn't know where Direwolves are going. He's not keeping up with the pace of the play. Every single time a fight's happened in a side lane, he's been either in mid or the opposite side of the map. So I think a little bit more active from Mayfun, which I understand how difficult that is to do in a losing state, because you don't feel safe going somewhere where maybe there's no camps already, maybe you can't walk in there, but if you don't protect those laners, that's how you turn your deficit into a lane's deficit, into a game being lost.
Certainly can spiral out of control.
Chaz bottom again here. 4 members strong. Reinforcements. You've got Blue with ultimate still. The wave's already dead, so they weren't really setting up for this one.
But it really is that bleed-on effect. I mean, you're just seeing Chaz and Poltron as a mid-jungle duo just working in harmony. Perfect tandem.
Oh, Fido did the thing.
Fido, well, he did our thing.
I don't know if his W was on cooldown and he wasn't aware of it, but he just dashed to the Sand Soldiers that were closer to Zoranus and stunned himself.
Go on then, stun me.
Yeah.
See if I care.
Have at it then. What do I care?
So you want some? Give it to you.
Flashes away though, because of that unfortunate error. Blue is about a minute, 30 seconds away actually from teleport, fighting bottom.
Hooper feels himself and says, I can try and make a play happen here, but ultimately is forced to burn everything to run away. Can he get a shield? Bop and block, I think, was just enough. Cannon Barrage does go down, and Mayfan is forced to disengage away as well. So unable to capitalize it into a kill. They pull the trigger, but are forced to disengage.
Nice toss of the prison there though from Poltron, because he actually finds Hooper dashing away. So I was able to predict that one just a little bit. Advantageous trade for the Wolfpack still, to be sure, but they survive and they're able to redeploy themselves back onto the map. They will lose that bottom lane outer turret. They've already lost their top lane outer turret. And mid's permanently pushed in. Still very positive signs here from the Direwolves, but Kanga with more of a fighting chance. Can't celebrate that enough. 4K gold at 17 minutes, it's still winnable.
It is still winnable. It's always the exciting factor of a scaling game. Time really is your best friend. Let's see if they can buy some of that.
Mind you, excuse me, quick tab check for the ADC items. Praetor has 2 completed to the 1 of Hooper. And the Flash Summon is still available, and Summoner advantage right now for Direwolves is very large.
Yeah, he's not actually interested in just hanging on to the serrated Dirk and going for the rapid fire cannon. Converts it into the Collector this time.
Yep.
Doesn't want the range, just wants to snowball further. Is the most fed member in the game, as you just saw from that total gold.
The opposing team actually can't really handle the Collector very well either. Right, a lot of squishy targets, not a lot of resistances there even naturally to be seen from them. Mayfan's first item straight towards full health, didn't go for the Chainsword either. There's actually going to be the Black Cleaver. It doesn't want to take any kind of healing away from his opponents, which in a weird way, I understand where Black Cleaver is good. I've spoken about why Black Cleaver is a good pick, but there is also a Nami in the enemy team, so it might be value to have a Chainsword. Just depends how much you value having that heal cut. If there's other champions that have heal cut, it doesn't matter, right?
Well, the Cannon Barrage was burnt to try and really stop that siege, really mounting into much more than just a turret falling on down. They've held on to it, but just by a thread. Perhaps would have liked to have used it here to try and contest this third dragon spawn, but that's not going to be possible now.
I wouldn't say that Kanga are too hard pressed to contest this one, right? Second Drake of the game going into the hands of Direwolves. Third of the game total, but only 2 for the Direwolves. Means there's a lot of time between now and a soul point. However, Hooper in mid is going to have to exit stage left. 4-member stronger Direwolves pushing down. Mayfan not in the area.
No, and Fido split pushing topside right now, once again farming up an absolute storm, the most in the game. Really trying to become a point of power, wanting to rally the team around him. Once again, if we can hit that level 16 mark with a couple of items online, Azir can start to do special things. But it does put a lot of confidence into the rest of your team to hold their own and get you to that stage.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that we're seeing here is Azir versus not having a jungler. Right, like you're giving Azir this extra farm, you're giving him this space, he broke the turret, it's really valuable. But you do not have a jungle, so you do not have a jungler farming. And it becomes very difficult to play this one out. Mayfan is essentially going to be an ult bot.
Yeah.
So it needs to just try and do the best that he possibly can. Radiant Virtue probably going to be picked up anyway. So he is just going to be an ability haste ult bot. So it's not a bad thing. But he comes back to his blue side every single camp's gone. Right? Like it is impossible for him to play. But that's the price that Kanga pay for Fido, making sure that he gets 3 extra waves. You know, gets close to that second item, gets close to that third item, and becomes one-hitting, or just becomes so overwhelmingly powerful when it comes to team fights.
Absolutely. If it's not his own teammate denying his camps away from him, it's certainly the Direwolves pressing their high forward line with the advantage they have to take away everything it offers.
They've taken every blue side camp. The Raptors were denied from Mayfan by his own team. The red buff is about to be stolen and Krugs aren't up. So he's going to walk mid lane and steal experience.
You're an ult bot and a debuff bot,
he's going to
right?
face check. Oh.
Oh, charging in.
If they had vision on that side of the wall, they may have gone on him.
Or maybe they just do this instead. Force out the flash, as well as the final chapter. Ult for ult, really. They've laid the warning shot, and I mean, just it seems as if every single time Direwolves press in, they're never really in a situation they need to worry too much about, well, if we get the kill, we do, but it's always you losing far more than us.
Aside from that little face check that forces a couple of spells out of Kanga, though, they're playing so extremely respectful, trying to just farm. In terms of what we've seen here, though, Blue's going to go bot lane, grab the Gromp, but it was already cleared, the wave by Fido, so he's kind of just dealing with the scraps. Fido's now going to get closer to grouping up with the rest of the team. He's actually going to catch that top wave first. Should actually probably have his second item after his next base. He must be close to it with the amount of farm he's been getting. And so it's a shutout everywhere except mid. Like a forced shutout. Doors are closed, Direwolves are controlling mid lane. They don't want to die the Lucian Nami, but that is a strong Lucian and Nami, right? So they have to play even further back. And eventually, right? Eventually the Baron gets looked at. Saving grace here is that Hextech Soul gets them closer to the pit, but can they get through Chaz?
Well, how do you even get through Chaz, let alone Zoranis? Both angles, both entries are denied. Mayfan going to jump across the wall, instantly cops an ult to the face. You cannot fight, you cannot steal. Shinky, a passenger, wishes he could attach himself to somebody else, but that is denied as well. And the Cannon Barrage comes down for good measure, but it does absolutely nothing because Direwolves, as a 5-man, take the Baron.
Yeah, Shinky kind of holds the white flag for Mayfan as he dashes over the wall. You got no reason to be there with him. He has a control where he can place it over the wall. Let him look. You don't have to go with him. 2 members fall. Second item is done for Fido. He is farming, but this is one of those situations where the repercussions of what's happened for the past 5 minutes just shine through. Baron is really free, and in a desperate attempt to get to the area, try and see if the Baron's being done. They do find a Sejuani throwing some ice at their face.
It's been a really tough game for Mayfan from the very beginning in this one. And really struggled to try and play his mark. But level 15 now there for Fido, 14 for Blue. And Hoop is still farming up for that second item spike, but Direwolf's going to completely capitalize on all his patience. This necessity, if you will, to buy time to scale on up. They're just going to press forward. They've already got 4 turrets. Make it a 5th if they can find this one. Baron buff active. And lanes to play towards.
Gangplank usually has exceptional wave clear. A little bit harder when there is a Baron buff to deal with, but for now, is able to hold them at base, still threatening mid and top bot lane all at once. And with a Drake to disengage back to, Direwolves just have a wealth of options and a whole lot of money sitting there ready to be collected. Kanga don't really have an answer yet. Their answer is scaling as Mayfan goes on Chaz.
Wave synced up. 2 fights on 2 separate occasions. They look for Chaz, they can't find it, and Blue unfortunately falls on down. Self-cast the ult, but that's not enough to stop the Wolfpack pressing forwards.
This isn't the patch where you have Navori's at 40%, is it?
Nah, that's next, yeah.
Yeah, sick. Just checking.
Cool.
Yeah, that's sick.
Should be quite exciting, actually, to see that one come out.
Yeah, I'm very curious as to how it changes the game, if it does at all.
Yeah, sure.
It's not just making ADs even more powerful, but Chaz going mid.
They are suddenly very
dead.
powerful. Mayfan gets knocked to the side and then dragged right back, flipped into the waiting arms of Chaz, who's now 5-1 and 2. Another flip of the Rick, and Poltron now in trouble. Actually going to fall on down. It doesn't matter though, because between Zoranis and Praetor, they are wiping the floor with the opposition and getting it done. As the rest of his team fall around him, Blue respawns, and he's got a mammoth task to defend 1v4.
Yeah, Kanga just drawing the line a little bit too far forward, looking for these fights a little bit too far out of their depth. And very easy for Direwolves to collect on that one. They find their moment, a nice little wall from Chaz. They get the kills. He almost dies to the turret. I believe it was a heal from Decoy that helps to keep him alive, but we can dissect that one as he comes through here. The dash over the wall, straight over the Talia. He gets himself stunned and damaged and just picked apart. Heal does save Chaz's life, and ultimately try as Fido might. He was trying to kill a Sejuani. He wasn't getting any access to the carries. And then Shinky, another funeral for Yuumi. Not that I mind funerals for Yuumi.
No. "25 minutes in then, and another dragon picked up. And Direwolves continue to be in pole position, up by 10 kills as well as 10,000 gold. They're game to lose at this point, and they're not going to let that happen. As the wave comes out, the knock-up is there, the bubble, the damage, the CC, it is incurable. Claims that. You just can't because Poltron is on a rampage. 2 kills to his name.
There gets himself a cheeky double. Now they threaten straight into the base. In terms of minions, they only have the mid wave to work with for now. The bot wave is a little bit away, but they've got a super. Fido has really good wave clear. So does Blue.
Well, there is some of that wave clear right now, but they're going to jump in. Exhaust dead. Blue, they needed him, but he's not there to survive. He's not there to peel. And he's not there to protect these Nexus towers, which are doing a great job so far to try and ward off the Direwolves, but they're just going to wait for this next wave to come on in.
Mayfun back and
may
alive,
just
though.
put a bow on it.
They do want to try and end this one here and now. Mayfun back alive. 30 seconds on the next respawn. However, Hooper is back as well. It's going to be a 4v5.
Hooper, no summoners, but he does have the lightning crash. There is the scoop. The Empress divide the dash on through. Poltron goes right back into their face. They're low. Is it time for a Hooper moment? Can he keep them active? Can he keep them interested? Can he keep them in range? More so than anything.
Teleport actually coming in here, but the Hex Gate's going to get them all to safety, so the teleport does not mean anything. And Fido's just going to teleport to a super minion to make sure that he clears that one. The game continues. They get signs of life from Kanga. Moments like now, if it wasn't a 12,000 gold deficit, it's a different story.
Yeah.
This is one of those situations where they really are just licking at their wounds, trying to stay in this game, stay afloat as long as they possibly can. Good that we're seeing those signs of life, but ultimately Direwolves still with all of the chips on their table.
Certainly is the case. But it's a much more welcome side from Kanga to see them competing and dragging the game out. A much longer affair up against a top-tier opponent.
I feel like at this point, Skimmy, we're just expecting them to go straight towards top lane. Prey, of course.
No, Mayfun just doesn't going in now. I will do it all on my own. Nothing to back him up, just a Yuumi. Feels like they can get the kill. Decoy gonna fall on down, taken out there by Blue. The Blue then gets surrounded by everybody. Triple kill for Predith, who's still alive.
I mean, the classic 0-11 banana engage combo. What do you mean? Like, they have 0 damage between them, but they saw themselves a Praetor and thought, that's the one. All in on site. Now it feels like Direwolves are just going to go straight down the guts and wrap this one up.
Well, chest is flashed, and ultimately, he's going to find what he's after, but he wants to win instead. On towards the Nexus, end the game, end the condition. Maybe just end Hooper in the process as well. GG, as Direwolves still undefeated.
And what do you say about that game, right? Direwolves, they were pretty clean from the first jungle camp of the game, right? They were managing to find their opponents. They kept them at bay. It was a cross-map level 1 red invade that was coupled with a blue buff invade after, finds him at the Gromp and kills him, and then Mayfun doesn't get to play League of Legends anymore.
Yeah.
The rest of the team were farming up better, right? It felt like it was a scaling game, and I think there are positives to take away from Kanga in regards to improvement and how they looked as a team, but they just didn't have the capacity to protect their jungler because, again, they had no priority in so many lanes at the same time, and they're against a better team.
Yeah, they've sort of drafted themselves into this position time and time again, but it is promising to see them do so well into a much stronger team.
Yeah, it was pretty much downhill from the get-go. Mayfun just getting, completely harassed off his red buff. Jungle clear, ruined, and it was just constantly downhill. He did get to play the game. He tried to play the game, but as you mentioned during the cast, was just never where he needed to be. Stopped tracking the game, was fully behind on tempo the whole damn time.
And this was actually quite a nice response here from Kanga, and I think to your point, Rusty, look, they did show signs of life that we hadn't really seen in games before, but this game to me was still always a question of, how close can Kanga stay? They were never really ahead, they were never really the ones dictating the tempo. You never really felt like they would get to that point and outscale, right? They were just always hanging on. I think Poltron actually putting on quite an impressive display over Mayfun, sort of breaking his ankles in terms of that pathing, always on the map, and Mayfun not really able to respond. And when you have a scaling comp like this, when you're the Vi, you need to be playing as sort of like a firefighter, right? You just need to take care of your laners, try to minimize as much damage as possible, and try to get through to that early game, with the gold as close as it can be. But ultimately, after that Baron, it's very hard for them to actually resist the push.
Another Lucian Nami, another W. That's another recurring factor that everyone keeps on letting Direwolves have, is that Lucian Nami, which I guess is partially coming with that blue side selection that they keep on getting as well. And again, that's going to put Praetor right up top. So he said it was going to be a big old canyon down towards the bot lane, and it certainly was in terms of the damage dealt. You can see that 17.8k. Chaz as well, look, great rotations, pretty good game over towards the mid lane. But as you mentioned, it feels like we've got a bunch of really good Sedge players that are currently playing in the LCO. Every time it's locked in, it's just enabling these huge wins. So maybe it's the pick at the moment.
I mean, it is one of the best picks for sure at the moment. One of the best in slot champions right now. When you've got carries, top lane, bot lane, mid lane, very easy to play that.
Yeah.
You laugh at best.
I
in
love
slot.
how you're saying best in slot now. I'm just like, yeah, it's best. It's best.
Okay.
It just gets me.
Why? Skimmy?
Oh yeah, tell me why.
Oh, just because.
Okay, understood.
Like some of these bloody interviews we're doing, one-word answers, mate.
Yes,
Jesus.
mate. Yes, mate.
Look, either way, we got Poltron, and he never gives us one-word answers for the post-match interview. How you doing, Poltron? Are you happy with the win, or did it get a bit too shaky for your liking?
I think it was a clean win from us overall. Obviously, it can always be cleaner, but so far, 5-0, top of the leaderboard. Feeling good. Can't complain.
Now, we spoke to Pradith before the game, and he said, you guys looking great on stage, but he doesn't really feel like you are at the level of like Chiefs and PGG in best of fives. Is that something that you sort of feel as well, or are you more confident in your ability to deliver in those series?
I'll say the Chiefs win we managed to get was very flip. I think either team could have won on that day. I will agree with Pradith in, I think, Divals against Chiefs in a best of 3 or best of 5, they will probably have a 60-40 chance to win. I do think they're a bit more consistent there than us overall. I haven't played against Pentanet that much lately, so I'm not going to comment on that though.
Now, quickly, how do people keep on letting you guys get that Lucian Nami? Because it's really helping you win rate. It's really helping you guys just do whatever the hell you want to do. Is that going to change moving into the next patch next week? Or do you think Lucian Nami is still going to be like the go-to at the moment?
Oh, don't bother banning Lucian Nami next week. It's terrible. We're definitely not going to pick it, right, guys? Right? Nah, but I think a lot of teams like to ban other stuff against us, which is why we do get the Lucian Nami. It is definitely a very strong combo, although I don't think it is unbeatable, but obviously Pradith and Decoy, my bot lane, very good at the combo, so far so good.
Yeah, perfect. And now, one player I did want to highlight on your team and get sort of your perspective on is Zorinus. Zorinus is a player who's really impressed this split, and obviously, you've been playing to him a lot, helping him get some leads. What is it like playing with him, and how has he sort of progressed, I guess, from your experience playing with him last year to now?
Last year to now, well, I'd say he's definitely improved just in pretty much every aspect as a player. I'd say his macro's gone up a lot because I think even last year, his laning was actually really good. I think he was matching, the Korean imports such as Topoon. I think this year, on the new Doubles roster at least, because he isn't required to comp for the team as much, especially in the mid to late game, that does alleviate some pressure, let him play out the side lane or, the one-on-ones with more concentration. So overall, he's a really solid player though.
Yeah, and look, it's got you every single win you've needed so far. Let's see if the trend continues next week. Thank you for joining us, Poltron. We'll see you next week and see if you can keep on getting that 7-0.
Thank you.
7-0, huh?
I love that answer, by the way. That's exactly what I was asking yesterday, so I was hoping we'd find that out. Is Zorinus calling less, which means he can be a mechanics max monster in top lane, because he is a higher rank and high mechanical player. So that is I think, very exciting to hear, knowing that they've put experience with Zorinus to let him be his best self, right? Where they can do a lot of the communication, because Chaz, Decoy, they've done it before.
Zorinus was rank 1 for like a while, right?
Forever, last split, yeah.
Yeah, towards the end of the year. Yeah, so he was just
for a while, yeah.
Absolute monster, showing it off this split as well. Let's see if he's the Dare MVP. Hey, who was it? Hey, who was it? Huh? Hey? Oh, it's Pradith. There you go. Sorry, Zorinus, not today. Pradith, though, doing work in the attack damage carry role, 8-0 and 5, and tearing it up on the Lucian.
Well, you heard it from Poltron. You don't need to ban Lucian Nami. No worries. It's completely fine. But I think it is the bread and butter for Divals. Whenever you see them pick that blue side, basically 100% they are going to gravitate towards that Lucian Nami. And if they keep finding success on this, like you said, Mac, they're just going to have to ban it. Like, teams are going to start having to ban it. And then that opens up, I think they're banning 2 or 3 bans most teams against Chaz in that first phase. So then it opens up a whole nother world of what Chaz can play. So the depth that this team has is actually quite scary when you're trying to prep only 3 bans for them.
Well, look, Skimmy, Praetus, you love him, you'd wear him, you'd
What do you mean by that?
Some Jack the Ripper going on over there.
What's going on over here, mate?
You haven't seen Hannibal? Silence the Lamps, no?
I have.
Yeah.
But
Skimmy, have you?
No, but like, why am I wearing old
uncultured.
mate?
Uncultured.
What's
Absolutely
happening?
Uncultured.
You saying we had the same hair?
That's all I was
went
checking.
from Gaelic
Are we all part of the
football
same
to
colour?
Hannibal to who knows where we're going next.
Yeah, mate, we're going on a ride today.
Circle.
Either way, we're going to the play of the day. Has anyone got their thinking caps on to remember the best plays we've seen today?
Ray's quadra kill.
Okay.
Mm.
I'm going to go with that because I don't have my thinking cap on. I quite simply don't remember.
Didn't bring your cap. I didn't see.
I'm trying to think. Did Why not do anything cool?
Died twice while they were winning.
Yeah. We'll say something. We'll say something Why not did in that game.
Okay. Well, your game's wrong. Your game's right. Let's see if it's the Rays play that you're talking about. It was, of course, the GG fight coming through from the Chiefs.
Bio's play of the day. Here he comes.
Hey, 1v3.
Here he comes. Check him out.
Defending the mid lane blue bloody
Crazy.
T3 tower.
Holy.
Wow.
It's the king of MSI.
Oh my gosh.
From there, though, look at this. Classic. Classic Aladoric Yumi ult coming through. And then,
What do you think
it's
Zeri's
just
weapon
easy,
sounds
easy.
like?
Zeri's what?
What do you think Zeri's weapon?
That was good.
It sound like
I
that?
feel like it's got to be a softer sound, right?
Like a purr.
That's kind of tap. That's kind of like a tap sound.
Ta 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 ta.
Like a
Like a
cat
water
that's
gun?
had a Red Bull.
Ta ta ta.
Yeah.
A cat
Yeah.
that... Right. Okay. Well,
Hey.
let's see, hey? Let's see if... Anyway, that's the play of the day. Great job, Rays. Did he get MVP? He did.
Yeah.
He got MVP. He got the Dare MVP.
I had to put my thinking
like
cap back on for a
12-0.
second.
Yeah.
You got me there.
12-0-3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something crazy.
Look, we're struggling to remember the first game of the day on these 3 game days, and hopefully we're going back to 4 game days next week, so woo, it's going all
Shambles.
over the place. But before we jump to next week, let's have a look at the standings, where all the teams are sitting after the second week of games here on the LCO. We're 5 games deep now, and only Direwolves are undefeated. PGG and the Chiefs still sitting pretty at second, all tied up. Team Bliss, with their win today, they are able to jump up above Mammoth with a 3-2 scoreline. So they're currently 4th, and that might start to answer the questions we were asking yesterday as to who is going to be that 4th place team come towards the end of the round robin. Mammoth has that slight edge over the top of GZ and Kanga, and then Peace, still an unknown quantity. And that will remain that way until they play.
So we have 2 games left of the single round robin.
Yes.
Until we go into the best of 3 stage.
Yeah.
Which means Peace, if they do play next week, can get 5th. They can't catch Bliss now.
Theoretically,
The best that they could do would be around 5th now. So
I'm just trying to remember which games we haven't seen. Well, I think that we have a graphic to help us with that. We've got the schedule for next day's games, next week's games, or at least the first day, Monday. The best day of the week, of course, which is the first day of LCO every week.
Stacked.
Mammoth and Bliss, huh?
Here's the Chiefs.
Okay.
Imagine that one.
Well,
You've taken your break.
Peace really, have some boots to put on at 8 PM, don't they? It could be match of the week, could be,
Could be not a match of the week.
all the remaining Peace
Oh,
fans
bro.
getting very unhappy. Either way, I'm looking at the other ones as well. PGG and Direwolves, that should be a banger. If
Yeah, huge.
if they both bring their A game, that'll actually be match of the week. We also have Mammoth and Team Bliss, which could be close if Mammoth play out of their minds. We've seen that from
Yeah.
time to time. And then Kanga and GZ. I'm keen to see that game as well because that's a pretty even matchup. Max, you won't be here next Monday.
No.
So you want to have your quick take on these games?
Well, I feel like you guys save the best games when I'm not here. Like,
Yeah.
every single match here, I would say maybe besides the first is almost like identical teams next to them in the standings. And even right now, I mean, Bliss technically is next to Mammoth in the standings as well, right? So I think, like you said, it is a real test of form for Peace. This is the first time we're going to see them all split long. And to play an opponent like the Chiefs, if they're able to, remain somewhat impressive, that could be really scary as the split goes on. I think Kanga Ground Zero for me is really exciting as well because that's sort of the differentiator. I think both teams are underperforming from what they'd want of themselves.
Yeah.
And so that win's going to be a really important confidence boost for whichever team does win that.
Absolutely.
I think there's just some crazy games going on. I remember the game to watch from last split was always on like the 7th day, which I think was that the Border Chiefs game, or was it like the Peace Chiefs game? It was one of them. It was always on like the last day of the round.
Yeah,
and it was always like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Ooh, anything could happen going into playoffs. But we have less of that this year with just this round robin going into the group stage. Maybe we will have some classic games at the end of the group stage, but look, we're not quite there yet. We got one more week before we jump into the group stage. Before we go, Max, any
Yes,
messages for all your fans out there, of course?
Any messages for all my fans? Well, I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Hopefully there's some good games. Hopefully we get another Max of the weekend.
I reckon
That
we
was
will.
fun.
That was pretty good, eh?
That was fun.
Not bad.
And yeah, you were back to Kitty. So I know you guys have been missing Kitty, but she will be back on Monday.
Hopefully not as nerfed as Yumi is.
And also, look, if you're not watching the main broadcast and you missed Max's smooth voice, you've been doing co-streaming as
Yeah,
well,
I
haven't you?
have. Yeah. Twitch TV Max. I don't know if I can say that on broadcast.
You
I
just
lost-
did.
You just,
I just lost my job, mate. I
finish
lost my job.
No, you got approval in my ear. You
He's
got
plugged it.
approval.
Fantastic.
What
Thank
was it?
you. Twitch.tv/maximize.
There you go. Go follow
Yeah.
him over there. Make sure, like, if you had enough of me, had enough of these two absolute geese on the broadcast, you can always go and listen to Max as well.
I was thinking about what noise a geese makes, but it's just like a honk, isn't
Yeah,
it?
just do it. Do it.
I can't make a
That's a
honk.
great way to end the week, huh?
Nah, I'm good.
Honk for us.
Nah, I'm good.
Skimmy.
You would surely have to like hold your.
And on
So-
that
so you
note,
just sound
I'm
bored.
done. I'm happy with that. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next week for the last couple of days of this round robin. Have a good weekend.
Going hard again.
Just really filling in that trade, wasn't he?
Perhaps Voice wishing he was a Draven, however, so that he could make that trade as well.
I respect it.
Ronald.
I respect it. I respect it! Trying to pick apart Kiss at the same time too, who can look to try and return the favour with his own ult. You get rooted underneath the turret. Akano goes, oh, I'm not too sure about that one. That was clever! Dodges out the arrow. I like that from Akano. Doesn't save him from dying, however, Kisse. Victim to those shenanigans. Why would they? Because they have an Ashe, but it doesn't matter. They can do Lucian things when they travel from such great distances to lock you down. That was Gooby finding his target, but falling for his crimes. Gets answered back really well there. Within the spot and battery left here for Gooby. He needs to find the target. They're up and needs to coordinate this one. Great buffer there by Tron. Cancelling out the enchanted arrow, running back to the Phantom. They go. Turn your attention right towards the next one. They would have had the KDA. Why would you not?
Gets them closer to the pit, but can they get through Chaz?
Well, how do you even get through Chaz, let alone Zoranus? Both angles, both entries are denied. Mayfang gonna jump across the wall, instantly constant ult to the face. You cannot fight, you cannot steal. Shinky, a passenger, wishes he could attach himself to somebody else, but that is denied as well.
How it changes the game, if it does at all.
Yeah, sure.
Just making AD even more powerful, but Chaz going mid.
They are suddenly
Mayfang
very
dead.
powerful. Mayfang gets knocked to the side and then dragged right back. Flipped into the waiting arms of Chaz, who's now 5-1-2. Another flip of the wrist, and Poltra now in trouble. Actually going to fall on down. It doesn't matter though, because between Zoranus and Praetor, they are